Hi, Glenn. How do you reply to the concern that there are not enough checks and balances in the Earth Constitution, that the World Parliament is the most powerful of all the branches, and then it seems like the judiciary and the executive are below that, and even the ombudsmen are voted upon by people in the parliament. So, how do you deal with that concern?
Well, I think that when you get 1,500 people from every corner of the earth who are educated through the Institute on World Global Procedures and World Problems, you have the best. Bertrand Russell said, "Democracy is a terrible system, but it's the best one." Right? It's the best of all the, and you have the best that can be done. Right? Who are we going to put over them? Some minority in the judiciary. In the U.S., we have 12 idiots, on the Supreme Court, and so I don't think there's any that I think the safety is precisely in their diversity and their numbers, and I can't personally imagine how, if you had an executive that could veto legislation, you'd have a small group of people dictating something to all these representatives who are duly elected from around the world. I don't see any other way of doing it.
Great. Thank you, Glenn. Okay, next up is Lynn and then David Orton. Go ahead, Lynn, take yourself off mute.
I just wondered, when the discussion was happening about environmental hazards and international regulation of those, and like China, and I just wondered how it would be legislated through the World Court that, we've been expropriating or outsourcing all of our manufacturing to China for many years, and it's really not fair for them to suddenly say, well, it's all equal now. Do you get the idea of what I'm saying, Glenn? And also, I liked what you said about Hannah Arendt, and wanted to hear again what you said about her and the large scale of things. Anyway, go ahead.
Everywhere. Part of what I argue is that any constitution creates a moral reality, right? So one of the things that so shocked us about January 6th is they seem to have broken the social contract, right? The idea that we're a moral framework under a constitution and so on. But now we have a moral reality for human beings, right? That transcends in everywhere. If you remember from reading these first 9 articles, everywhere, the legislators and the members of these agencies have to take a pledge of service to humanity, right? Not a pledge of service to any particular in the United States, it's against all enemies, domestic or foreign, but there's no enemies here, right? So now you have the capacity to really do service to humanity, which means that they're going to be thinking in terms of justice, right? And true, China is producing all this. No one wants to be unjust to China, right? But much of what China produces comes to the United States and is appropriated by the rich who own these multinational corporations, right? That has to be modified. You just can't have a system like we have, a world system, which ultimately, after 4 centuries of operation, puts 50% of the world's wealth in the hands of a tiny fraction, 1% of the world's population. That's just unjust. So the goal of justice and equitability is built into all these things, and so I think we have to say that the World Parliament will be making decent decisions, right? They've got the mandate, create an equitable world system, and the World Parliament will be full of Chinese people, right? China has and they're not going to want to vote against their own country and so on. they're going, so you're going to have a mandate for the whole, to make it a decent world for everybody on the planet. Okay, and then Hannah Arendt, she said that power was a good thing because power comes when government is supported by its people, right? A government that is with the real consent of the governed and the enthusiasm of the people for their government is powerful. That's where power comes from. And insofar as government loses that consent and that underpinning of the real authority of the people, then the government has to resort to violence of various forms, she said. So what we want to repudiate is not power, she said, but violence. And if you look at this Constitution, everywhere it is designed to reduce violence. Even the world police, as we'll look at in 2 weeks, right? Even the world police designed to reduce violence.